your determination to come out of those shackles, make the most of the opportunities, you grab the opportunities available, you make good in life, you feel the sense of pride and dignity. You're not willing to bow down to anybody. That is true hallmark of citizenship. That is what humanity is about, that dignity, that ability to hold their heads high. Not taking the handouts, not becoming a beggar, not being dependent on somebody else for your survival, not having to worry every day what that fellow will do tomorrow. I may not be able to have my bread tomorrow. And that's the state to which our politicians want to reduce much of India. Because without that, they cannot sustain this kind of politics. That's what needs to be changed. If they change it, we'll be delighted. If they don't change it, we must throw them out. Or else, India will be in the dustbin of history. The fight is not for somebody's political power. The fight is for the soul of India, for the future of India. There is corruption everywhere. India is not unique. We all know about what bloggers do. After all, he did what every self-respecting Indian politician does. And that is when, the moment there was a vacancy as a Senate seat, he tried to sell that. What's new about that? What is surprising to me is that no self-respecting Indian politician would sell it for $100,000. It's peanuts. I mean, really, seriously. Can you think of any politician in India who would be sold for just $100,000 for something like that? That is surprising. But what's marvelous is, the bloke was thrown out of office instantly. His political future is buried. And almost certainly he'll go to jail. So there's a system in place, no matter how highly placed you are, if you cross the line, you'll be in serious trouble. It doesn't matter if you belong to the same Democratic Party as the President of the Congress. It doesn't matter if you're the governor of a mighty state, the major state in the United States. It doesn't matter. The FBI will not listen to anybody. If the President, if Barack Obama was dumb enough to actually ask the FBI director, say, hey, he is my governor, he's been my friend so far, I represented the state, he's been good to me, and just go slow. If he did that, Barack Obama would go. That's exactly what happened to Nixon. I don't know if you guys remember, 36 years ago, Richard Nixon had to quit merely for that reason. He didn't do anything terribly wrong. He just obstructed justice to protect some of his cronies who committed some irregularities and illegalities. That's all that happened. That's all that happened. He did not know that they were committing those irregularities. He came to know later, but he protected them. If by that standard you hold our politicians accountable, I suspect 98% would be in jail. So we are here to bring that accountability to the system. It's possible. There's nothing unique about America, or Britain, or some other countries. We can and we will do it. To make that happen, and I'll conclude with this, what I ask of you is, we have to do tangible things. You have shown tremendous commitment in coming here on a Sunday afternoon, which is so bright and sunny out there. You all know, people in India back home may not always know how hard life is here. You may have all the material goods, but you're all self-reliant. You don't have 25 support systems. You don't have a chauffeur for everything. You don't have a maid for the asking everywhere. You don't have a cook. You can't simply take off from work. Life is extremely difficult in many ways. On the one hand, there is opportunity and dignity. On the other hand, there is responsibility and hard work. They go together in this country. But despite that, you have shown the commitment to give your time, to give your energy for something as boring as a discussion of the future of India. No film songs, no great actors, of course no God and gold. That's not a small thing. I value that. But for it to go further, we have to take small little steps. You don't have to do some big things. You must understand the big things, but ultimately, it's the small action that matters. And here is a menu of options. Voter registration is in shambles in India. There's no point telling the people just before the elections. Let's run a campaign for years. beyond parties, doesn't matter which party you vote, I don't care. For heaven's sake, register and also create a facility for registration. I don't want to go into details. But registration and most of all, vote. Tell the middle class blokes to go and vote. Because without the middle class voting, India will not change, no matter what you say. Because the poor will, for some time to come, be dependent on the money that they get on the day of election. And why not? To change that, you have to have significant number of the middle classes and the youth showing the commitment to democracy. Without middle class showing the commitment to change, no country has ever changed. We must din into their ears, make them understand their power and their obligation, and how their survival, their future, they depend on what happens now in terms of our democracy. We require to run a fabulous campaign across the country and across our state. The freebies, increasingly, state after state, like in economics, politics also, in politics also, Gresham's law operates. Bad politics dies away good politics. The currency of elections in India today is either money for voting, along with liquor, or all the freebies, free power, free everything. Why mention all those? But the people from Andhra Pradesh know everything I don't have to mention. Or divide the people on caste, region, religion, language, and 100 other denominations, taking advantage of the primordial loyalties of India and our diversity, making our diversity not a strength but our weakness. So we have to make the middle class stand up beyond these pettiness and prejudice. We have to help them overcome the narcissism of small differences. We may disagree on some issues, doesn't matter, but we fight together for a much bigger cause. Because there's an India to protect, there's an India to uphold, whose dignity should be upheld. There's an India that should fulfill her destiny, not in the distant future, but in the next 20 years, 30 years it must happen. For that, we must lay the foundation now, in the next few years. Therefore, let the people understand, run a fabulous campaign on how the freebies are actually hurting. It doesn't require much convincing. It's easy. I don't know if you're aware, recently Andhra Pradesh government declared 3 days of power holiday. Are you aware of that? For all industries in Andhra Pradesh, for 3 days in 1 week, every week, no power. Zero power. The balance 4 days, they said 6 p.m. to 10 p.m., no power. Rest of the time, unscheduled outages. Real, serious. And we want to economically prosper as a state and a country. We want to create employment and eliminate poverty by that means. People are not dumb, they understand. If only we take the trouble to explain to them the link between what's happening today and the consequences in their lives, they understand. They will penalize, they will punish these fellows. Let them understand what is the alternative to these treaties. Let them understand how corruption is eating into the vitals of the system. Not merely that there is corruption, but how it is directly linked to poverty, perpetuation of inequality, lack of education and health care. Let them understand how their vote is a precious commodity. Let them understand that they should not vote as they are doing today, not for the best, but always for the second worst. Indian elections are always about voting for the second worst. Because if we vote for the best, the fear is, in our mind there's somebody who we think is the worst.